Let me introduce my report, analysis of biomarkers to exposure when we using cigarettes and other side electronic tobacco heating systems. My name is Anna Chernova. I'm a cardiologist, professor of faculty disease, Krasnoyar State Medical University, Russian Federation. Now, I want to say about cigarette smoke. We know contains nicotine, a natural component of tobacco, and a lot of variety of harmful chemicals. It is toxins, not nicotine, that are the leading cause of smoking-related disease, for example, cardiovascular disease, bronchopulmonary disease, and of course of cancer. Modifying risk tobacco products are expected to reduce exposure to harmful and potentially harmful constituents of cigarette smokes and ultimately reduce the health burden of smoking-related disease. These products contain nicotine, have a rich taste, and give the aroma familiar to smokers, but do not produce smoke. You know, nicotine is not what makes tobacco use so deadly. Tobacco and tobacco smoke contains thousands of chemicals. What is this? It's a mix of it's the mix of chemicals, not nicotine, that causes serious disease and death in tobacco users, including fatal lung disease like chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and cancer. 4 out of 10 smokers and, of course, ex-smokers wrongly link nicotine causes most of the smoking-related cancers, when evidence shows nicotine actually carries minimal risk of harm to health. In this slide, you can see study design, purpose of our disease, analyze biomarkers of exposure when using cigarettes and other side to second group electronic tobacco heating system. Analysis of literature data is Japanese study. In the parallel group study, patients from 23 to 65 years more than menthol cigarettes per day, we randomized to three groups. The first groups used menthol tobacco heating systems, the second group menthol cigarettes, and the third group used smoking abstinences. What is an endpoint in the study? Endpoints include biomarkers of exposure to harmful and potentially harmful constituents and clinically relevant risk markers of smoking-related disease, cardiovascular and pulmonary bronchopulmonary disease. Several markers of cardiovascular risk and function were examined, including fibrinogen, homocysteine, high sensitivity cardiac protein, and blood pressure, systolic and diastolic blood pressure. You can see in this slide baseline fibrinogen in free group, MTHC 279. The second group, menthol cigarette, 276, and the third group is SA, 284. And next point, day 9, the same the same result, 275. Next group, 286, and the third group is 277. As shown in the table, the cardiac protein, high sensitivity cardiac protein, concentration on day 9 was more 6.4% low in the MTHS group than the MCC group, but was 10.7% higher in the MTHS group than in the SA group. You can see fibrinogen, homocysteine, and high sensitivity cardiac protein. And baseline. Systolic and diastolic blood pressure, you can see there were no apparent difference in blood pressure on systolic and diastolic. In first group 110, next 111, and the third is 104. And the same result is diastolic blood pressure, it's very normal, 67, 67.5, and 64 in the third group. And you can see it's a very not difference. Such result is inflammation in white blood cells. Also, there was some variability as baseline. White blood cells decreased in the menthol tobacco heating system group and increased to the MCC group, resulting in the LS mean difference of 0.77 at day 90. The reduction in white blood cells was slightly smaller in the MTHS group than in the SA group, you can see. Such markers of lipid metabolism included high-density lipoprotein, low-density lipoprotein, total cholesterol, and triglycerides. You can see in this result, as shown in the table, the baseline concentration on these lipids were similar among the three groups, MTHC, MCC, and SA, except for triglycerides, which was lower in the SA group than in the other groups. You can see triglycerides 139 in the first group, MCC 131, and the third group 112. And total cholesterol is not the same. There were no marked difference in the low-density lipoproteins, total cholesterol, and triglyceride concentration between the MTHS and MCC groups. Conclusions in the study: switching to MTHC was associated with improvement and clinically relevant risk markers linked to oxidative stress, endothelial dysfunction, lipid metabolism, and inflammation, such as white blood cells. The direction on these changes in the MTHC and SA groups were similar and clearly distinct from the seen in the MCC group. Further, longer-term studies are ongoing to confirm and present results and to verify, of course, of clinical relevance of the improvements on the surrogate markers and modified risk tobacco products observed here. And finally, a completely switch to electronic tobacco heating systems is less harmful than continue to smoke cigarettes. And now I want to talk about take-home message. The first is legislation. There are no regulation of products according to their harm caused. The second, HCP exciting clinical guidelines, for example, cardiovascular guidelines, do not take into account tobacco and harm reduction. And of course, for the patients who is not motivated to quit smoking does not have the opportunity to get information about less harmful alternatives. So smokers who do not motivated to reduce, a prohibited strategy is ineffective. The second, comprehensive measures are needed to prevent bad habits and form commitment in the healthy lifestyle, taking into account modern technologies and scientific approach. And the third, if we cannot completely eliminate the risk, we must minimize them. Thank you